United Africa rises. Traoré leads ISCA to fight Western-backed insurgents. Africa just drew the line, and the West didn't see it coming. Traoré's bold new alliance could change Africa forever. ISCA is here. You won't believe which African nations just joined Traoré to fight back. ISCA has launched, and it's a direct message to Western powers. The rise of United Africa starts now. Watch how Traoré is leading the charge. Western-backed insurgents beware. Traoré just unleashed Africa's response. ISCA is more than a coalition, it's Africa's revolution in motion. This is not what the West expected from Africa's new military alliance. Traoré just flipped the script. Africa unites against foreign exploitation. The world is watching. Africa just stood up to its greatest threat yet. Breaking news. Captain Ibrahim Traoré unites African leaders under ISCA, International Security Coalition of Africa, to take a bold stand against Western-backed insurgents threatening the continent's sovereignty. In this powerful video, we expose how Burkina Faso's President Ibrahim Traoré is leading a Pan-African revolution by forming ISCA, a military and strategic coalition aimed at protecting Africa's independence from foreign influence, exploitation, and destabilization. From Mali to Guinea, and now with Zambia, Namibia, and South Sudan joining the cause, the continent is finally saying enough to neocolonial interference. Why is the West so afraid of ISCA? How will this coalition reshape Africa's future? What threats does ISCA face from global powers? Watch this detailed breakdown and hear what African citizens, analysts, and leaders have to say about this historic resistance movement led by Captain Traoré. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more updates on Africa's bold moves toward unity, sovereignty, and freedom. The Traoré Revolution and ISCA, reshaping Africa, facing resistance. 1. President Traoré and the Pan-African Revolution via ISCA. Captain Ibrahim Traoré, leading Burkina Faso since a 2022 coup, positions himself as a vanguard of a new Pan-Africanism, fundamentally anti-imperialist and sovereignist. ISCA, Initiative of Sahelian Countries Alliance, Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, is his primary vehicle for this revolution. Here's how he's driving it. Rejection of neocolonialism. Traoré explicitly blames Western powers, especially France, but also the US, for decades of exploitation, failed counterterrorism, and political manipulation in the Sahel. ISCA is the institutional rejection of this order. Sovereignty first. Core actions include expelling French troops, ending defense agreements, and withdrawing from ECOWAS, seen as a Western puppet. ISCA prioritizes absolute national control over security and resources. Military focus and internal solution. Traoré emphasizes that security must be achieved by Sahelian forces, rejecting foreign intervention. ISCA fosters joint military operations and intelligence sharing against jihadist groups, framing it as an indigenous struggle. Creation of the Alliance of Sahelian States, AES. ISCA's most concrete outcome is the AES, a formal confederation treaty signed by Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. This aims for deep integration, common defense, economic cooperation, free movement, and potentially a single currency, directly challenging existing regional bodies, anti-Western rhetoric and symbolism. Traoré masterfully uses fiery anti-colonial rhetoric, populist symbols, like riding motorcycles, and appeals to Pan-African historical figures, Sankara, to galvanize domestic support and regional solidarity among populations disillusioned with the West. Alternative partnerships. Crucially, Traoré replaces Western allies with strategic partnerships with Russia, Wagner/Africa Corps for security, mining deals, Iran, drones, potential military tech, and Turkey, drones, economic ties, demonstrating a multipolar alignment. 2. Why the West fears ISCA. Western fear stems from a fundamental loss of control and the emergence of a hostile alternative power bloc with significant strategic consequences. Loss of strategic influence. The Sahel is geopolitically crucial and resource-rich: uranium, gold, oil. ISCA's explicit anti-Western stance and expulsion of forces represent a massive erosion of decades of French and American influence in their traditional sphere: counterterrorism failure and instability. Western powers fear ISCA states' reliance on Russian mercenaries and internal militias is ineffective against jihadists and creates more instability. They see potential for failed states becoming larger terrorist havens, threatening Europe and the wider region. Russian and Iranian entrenchment. ISCA provides Russia with its most significant and strategic foothold in Africa since the Cold War. Access to resources, military bases, and a platform to challenge Western norms is deeply alarming. Growing Iranian influence adds another adversarial dimension. Resource nationalism. ISCA states are asserting greater control over their mines and resources. Potential nationalization or renegotiation of contracts, especially uranium vital for French energy, threatens Western economic interests and supply chains. Domino effect and ideological challenge. The West fears the Traoré model, military takeovers justified by anti-imperialism leading to Russian alignment, could inspire similar movements in other fragile African states, unraveling the entire Western-centric post-colonial order in Africa. Undermining international norms, the coups themselves, and ISCA's rejection of ECOWAS/regional bodies challenge the West's preferred model of democratic governance and regional cooperation.
3. Reshaping Africa's future. Potential impacts of ISCA. ISCA's success or failure will profoundly impact Africa. Accelerated multipolarity. ISCA is a powerful symbol and actor driving Africa towards deeper engagement with Russia, China, Iran, and Turkey, reducing dependence on traditional Western partners. Redefining regional integration. The AES directly challenges ECOWAS and could lead to a fragmented West Africa. If successful, it might inspire other regional blocs based on sovereigntist/anti-Western alignment rather than geography or old colonial ties. Sovereignty versus security dilemma. While asserting sovereignty, ISCA states remain critically vulnerable to jihadist violence. Their success hinges on proving their model actually improves security and development without Western support, a huge gamble. New economic models? ISCA seeks resource-backed development deals with non-Western partners. This could lead to faster infrastructure development but risks new forms of debt dependency or exploitative contracts with Russia/China. Democratic regression versus popular sovereignty. The alliance is built on military juntas suppressing dissent. While popular domestically initially due to anti-Western sentiment, long-term stability requires legitimate governance, which is currently absent. It risks normalizing military rule. Potential for conflict. Tensions with ECOWAS, like the near intervention in Niger, remain. Border disputes between AES members exist. Internal ethnic conflicts could be exacerbated. The region remains a potential flashpoint. 4. Threats facing ISCA from global powers. ISCA faces significant, often active, opposition. Western sanctions and financial isolation, ECOWAS sanctions, now mostly lifted, and ongoing restrictions from Western institutions, World Bank, IMF, cripple economies, limiting access to credit and development funds. Asset freezes target junta leaders. Support for ECOWAS and opposition groups. Western powers bolster ECOWAS as a counterweight. They may provide tacit or indirect support, intelligence, funding, to political opposition groups or civil society within ISCA states challenging the juntas. Information warfare and discrediting campaigns. Western governments and media actively highlight governance failures, human rights abuses, often involving Russian partners, and security setbacks to undermine ISCA's legitimacy domestically and internationally. Exploiting internal divisions. Global powers may seek to exploit ethnic tensions, political rivalries within the juntas, or popular discontent over economic hardship or continued insecurity to destabilize the regime's counterterrorism dilemma. While publicly opposing ISCA, Western powers share an interest in containing jihadists. However, their refusal to cooperate directly with regimes reliant on Russia creates a complex and dangerous security vacuum. Diplomatic isolation. Efforts to limit ISCA's recognition and participation in international forums persist, though Russia/Iran provide alternative platforms. Economic sabotage. Potential exists for covert actions disrupting resource exports or key infrastructure, though this is high risk. Russian reliability. Dependence on Russia is a double-edged sword. Wagner's mutiny showed instability. Russia's primary interest is strategic gain and resources. Its commitment to long-term Sahelian development is questionable. Changes in Russian priorities or capabilities pose a threat. Conclusion. President Traoré's ISCA project is a bold, high-stakes attempt to forge a radically independent path for the Sahel, built on rejecting Western influence and embracing alternative alliances. It represents a genuine Pan-African sovereigntist impulse resonating with populations weary of perceived exploitation. However, its foundation on military rule, reliance on controversial partners like Russia, immense security challenges, and active opposition from powerful global actors make its future deeply uncertain. Whether it reshapes Africa towards greater self-determination or plunges the region into deeper instability and new dependencies remains the critical question. The West's fear stems from a tangible loss of control and the unpredictable consequences of this defiant experiment. The coming years will test ISCA's resilience and its ability to deliver on its revolutionary promises.